and how interfaces are used with respect to Selenium. All right, and uh, just a minute, just a minute. So yesterday I told you that this is the class where we saw basic drivers. Right. Let me make a new Java project today, day 03. And interfaces, they will help us to write a single script which will work on multiple browsers. Okay, so why do we want a single script to work on multiple browsers? Of course, in real time, what happens is, let me make a new class known as dynamic browsers. Right, in real time, we can define that, okay, this is my browser, say my browser is Chrome. Then whatever script you are writing over here should be executing on Chrome. Okay, then you can change the browser name from Chrome to Mozilla. So the script will work on Mozilla. So you want that kind of a script. Out here, yesterday I told you that you can set the exe paths and launch the browsers. Okay, so how do we write this kind of a code over here? Now, first of all, there is no need to set the exe paths every time. Okay, I like place all the exes in one folder. Okay, I have kept them over here. And then go to your My Computer properties and you have to set environment variables. Okay, you go to advanced system settings and environment variables. And over here in system variable, you will see a variable known as path, which would be pre-existing. Okay, don't be careful with this. Okay, edit it and create a new path variable and give the path where you have kept the exe files, the driver exes. Okay, restart your PC and then you will not feel the need to give the exe path. So when you will run this, it will pick up from the environment variables. And you see that my Chrome works properly. Okay. And you get this command. Okay, you are able to launch Chrome. Right. So in case of this script over here, which I was talking about, you can put an if statement that if browser is equal to Chrome, then you can launch your Chrome driver, go to yahoo.com and print the title of, okay, hold on. I will have to add the jar files of Selenium in this project. Every time you make a new project under class path, you will have to add the jars. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Right. So over here, you can write Chrome driver dot get the title. Right. And you can write else if the browser is Mozilla. Okay, then you can write Firefox driver and Firefox driver.get. Okay, and system.out.println Firefox driver.get title. Okay, fine. Now, similarly, if it is Edge, you can get the code of Edge driver. Okay, but is this practical? Because for every browser, I'm writing different code. If I have to click on a link in Chrome, I will have to write the code to click the link in Chrome over here. In Firefox out here for the same link and for Edge over here for same link. So I'm repeating my code. Okay. And this really doesn't make sense. All right. To repeat the code again and again. Fine. So to solve this problem, I cannot write a separate script for every browser. To solve this problem, we have the concept of interfaces in Java, and I'll create a new interface. Okay. And what is an interface? Interface is something which gives you an idea about the system. Okay, for example, you if you want to buy a book, just from the cover of the book, you are able to judge that what this book is about. You really don't know what is inside the book. So that book, the cover of the book is like an interface for you. It gives you an idea about the system. So in Java also we have interfaces. Fine. Like for example, I can make an interface known as phone. Okay, so I have functions like call, recharge. All right. So in the phone function, you have functions like call, recharge, and the functions will not have function bodies. Okay, functions will be only declared, not properly defined. Okay, just by looking at the phone interface, you can say that, fine, these are the functions inside this interface. Okay, right. And say I have a phone, I will create a new class known as, say, OnePlus. So OnePlus is a phone. Okay, it will have both the features of the phone. So what we do in Java is that we write over here implements the phone interface. Okay, so if the class is implementing an interface, then it is mandatory for the class to implement all the functions of the interface. All right, you can move the mouse over OnePlus and select the error would be there. You can move the mouse over the error and select add unimplemented methods. And both the methods call and recharge will come up. So if you have to implement an interface, you have to implement all the methods. Even if I remove one of the methods, I will start getting an error. Okay, right. And this @ override is an annotation. You can decide to remove it, nothing will happen. You can keep it. This is a marker which just indicates that this function is coming up from the phone interface. Okay, this is just a marker, right? And inside it, I can print 1 plus calling and 1 plus say recharge. And similarly, I can make one more class known as iPhone. So the iPhone class is also a phone and it will implement the phone interface. So it will have to mandatorily implement both the functions. And inside each function, I will print iPhone calling and iPhone recharge. All right. So now, if you go to hold on. If you go to this iPhone interface, then this has just got the method, a declaration. You just declared the methods, but the implementation has been done in both the classes. So practically what I have done is that I have created two classes. Both the classes are implementing basically one interface. Okay, both these classes are implementing the interface phone, which has got call and recharge functions. Okay, now what did I achieve out of this? I could have decided not to make this interface. I could have simply created two classes with these two functions. Okay, what is the use of interface? Why did I create it? I could have directly created the classes.
For hiding the implementation, na, we just hide the whatever the code by using the implement and that all thing interfaces,
It's not actually
hiding the
hiding.
code.
You cannot hide the code of obviously if you give someone the workspace, he will be able to see it. People say that hide, but the actual reason is tomorrow if more phone classes come, the practical reason is then you will not have to worry. All the classes will implement the phone interface and just by looking at the phone interface, you can say that what will be the functions in all the implementing classes. You will know that all the implementing classes will definitely have these two functions. Even somebody new is looking at your code. Suppose someone is new in the team, he looks at your code. Just by looking at the interfaces, he will come to know that what is there in the implementing classes. Okay, so this is one advantage. In Selenium, everything is inbuilt. The interfaces are inbuilt, the implementing classes are inbuilt. You need to just understand how they work. Okay, if you open the documentation of Selenium, which is this one, API docs, sorry, go to the frames view. These are all the classes in Selenium. And whatever is written in italics, these are interfaces. Look, I also don't remember all the classes and all, but we can definitely learn how to read the documentation. Okay, like for example, hold on. There is an interface. Hold on. Known as take screenshot. This interface has got one function known as get screenshot as. So as the name suggests, this interface is responsible to take the screenshot of the web page. And just by looking at this interface documentation, we will know that these are all the implementing classes which we have studied. The Chrome driver class, the Firefox driver, Safari driver, iDriver, all these classes, they implement this particular interface. So, hold on. When we create the object of Chrome driver or Firefox driver, we have the capability of taking the screenshot. Similarly, if you scroll down, there will be something known as web driver written in italics. Everybody knows that Selenium WebDriver, everybody says Selenium WebDriver. Technically, WebDriver is the main interface in Selenium. Okay, when you build Selenium project, you never build interfaces. Everything is inbuilt. You just need to understand these interfaces and understand the structure or the architecture of Selenium through the documentation and the interfaces. There is an interface known as WebDriver. And all these driver classes, they implement this WebDriver interface. This interface is the starting point of Selenium. Okay, WebDriver is a remote control interface that enables introspection and control of user agents. User agent basically means browsers. Okay, and if you look at this interface, it's got many methods. For example, a method like close will close the current window, the browser. Okay, the method like find element will find some element on the web page. Get title will get you the title. That is why, you know, the get title function was there in all the three implementing classes. Okay, look, hold on. Let me tell you this way. I'll make a new class known as test phone. Now we had made one interface and two implementing classes. Okay, now if I create the object of one plus, or if I create the object of iPhone, right? I can call the functions one plus dot call, one plus dot recharge, or iPhone dot call and iPhone dot recharge. So when you run this code, see this prints OnePlus calling OnePlus recharge, iPhone calling iPhone recharge. Okay, right. So this thing out here, hold on. See, the call and the recharge functions are same, but it depends that who is calling them, whether OnePlus is calling them or whether iPhone is calling them. The functions are same. Similarly, when you create the object of Chrome driver or Firefox driver, the functions in them would be same. See, the get function in Chrome driver is also there and Firefox driver is also there. Get title function is there, get title is there in all the drivers, because all the drivers, they are implementing this web driver interface. And all the drivers will have these type of functions. So this is the real advantage of interface. Okay, just by looking at the web driver interface, I can surely predict that what the functions, like what all functions would be there in all the three driver classes. If you have any doubts in this, understanding this, then surely you let me know. Okay, now there are two advantages of interface. Okay, the first advantage I have told you, all implementing classes have same methods which come from the interface. Okay, now there is another advantage that you get a dynamic handle. Now, what do you mean by this? All right. One thing is sure, and I hope everybody has understood that all the function names in these three classes would be same. Right. Now, listen to this carefully. At times, people they tend to get confused at this point. Okay. Now, suppose iPhone class, it says that I'm implementing the phone interface, but I have another feature known as IMAPs. Okay, this IMAPs is not there in a normal phone. This is a function which is proprietary to iPhone. So of course, I can call the IMAPs function from the object of iPhone, but not from OnePlus. Okay, so these two functions, this is coming from interface. Okay, this is also coming from interface, but the third function is the proprietary function of the iPhone class. Okay, now till now we have created the objects of these classes like this. Now, if I create the object of the class like this, say phone p1 equals to new iPhone. So this is line and this line, both are different. Over here, I'm taking the interface reference. Phone is an interface. Okay, I'm taking the reference of the interface pointing towards the object of the class implementing the interface. All right, so these two lines are different. And what is the difference between them? I can write p1.call. I can write p1.recharge, but I cannot write p1.imaps. I will get an error. If you create the object like this, if you give the reference of the interface, you cannot access the proprietary functions in the object. You can only access the functions which are coming from the interface. Okay, now what is the advantage of creating the object like this then? Because I cannot access the proprietary functions. What is the advantage? The advantage is that suppose if I write phone p2 equals to new 1 plus, I can also write like this, right? Because this is the interface and this is the implementing class. Okay, and hold on, I just put some demarcation. Look, if you run this code, you will see that iPhone calling and iPhone recharging, these two lines are being printed over here, right? And if I create the object of phone p2 equals to 1 plus, and if I write p2 dot call, so this is going to print 1 plus calling because p2 reference is pointing towards the object of 1 plus. But the twist is on the next line, I can make p2 point towards object of iPhone because the phone reference p2, okay, can point towards either iPhone or phone. All right, and if I copy the same command over here, this will call the call function for 1 plus, and this will call the call function for iPhone. So when you run this, see 1 plus calling and iPhone calling. So this is the advantage. That same reference I can point towards object of different classes. I can decide that, for example, um, phone P3 equals to null. I can decide this, that P3 is not pointing anywhere. And depending on my choice, I can make P3 point towards object of 1 plus, or I can also make P3 defined point towards object of iPhone. Okay, over here you can write P3 dot call. Over here also you can write P3 dot call. This will call the call function of iPhone and this will call the call function for 1 plus. Okay, and we know that the same structure exists in Selenium. Over here, we have the phone interface and two classes, 1 plus and iPhone. Both are implementing this phone interface. Okay, and in Selenium, we have the WebDriver interface and both Chrome driver and Firefox driver, they implement the WebDriver interface. Okay, so we can also write, like primitively we had been writing the code like this, that is Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver, or a Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver. So we can also write take the reference of interface WebDriver. We can also create the objects of the interface WebDriver. Or same way I have done like this, I can decide that WebDriver driver is say null. That means this interface reference is not pointing anywhere. And based on my choice, I can make driver point towards new Chrome driver, or I can make driver point towards new Firefox driver. Okay, I hope you have understood my point, right?
Ashish, this is Anbu. So
Yes.
mostly in Selenium, we will be using the second part, right? So proprietary references. That's where used in Selenium frameworks and function and classes. Correct?
I cannot understand you. Just repeat once.
No, in Selenium, mostly in Selenium framework, okay, they are using the proprietary references like references of reference of interface, and then they will be creating an object for an
Yes,
implementing
this
the
is the
class.
way we do in Selenium.
Okay.
Okay. Because this way, the advantage what we get is, if you look at this dynamic browser's code, we were stuck. We had to write separate piece of code everywhere. So now we don't have to write this separate piece of code. Okay, we can decide that driver is null. We can initialize your driver to null. And based on the choice, I can point driver to Chrome driver over here, or I can point the driver to Firefox driver, or I can point the driver to Edge driver. So this is the advantage which interfaces give us, that one driver object can either point to Chrome or Firefox or Edge. So if I keep the the browser as Chrome over here, so when you run this, so the script will work on Chrome. Chrome will open. But if I change the browser to Mozilla and browser Mozilla will open. Okay, similarly, if I change it to Edge, Edge will open. So if you have not understood it, ask me. There is no doubt known as a bad doubt or something. You can definitely ask me, right? So this browser name later you can read it from some external source like a properties file or an Excel file, whatever you want, or a JSON file. And once the browser has started, if I write driver dot, so the commands are same for all the browsers. I told you all the implementing classes have the same methods. Okay, so I can write driver dot get http cnn.com, and after going to cnn.com, you print the title of the page, and when you run this code, this will open Mozilla and take you to cnn.com. Okay, and similarly, Chrome. Okay, right. And This is how it works. If you have any questions, then let me know in this if you have any questions. Right. So you can have one line changing and the script will change according to that. Okay. Now, if you have to interact with the components of the web page over here, you have to click on the links. You have to type in the text fields and all different things. How do you do that? I'll come over to that. Okay. But before that, in Java, there is one more concept, a very important one, which I need to tell you. It is the concept of constructors. Okay. So instead of writing directly in the source folder, I will create a new package known as constructors. Package is nothing but a simple folder under source folder, you can say. Okay, I'll create a package known as constructors to just tell you the concept of constructors in Selenium. So this constructors package is nothing but a folder under source folder to organize the code. In constructors package, I can make a new class known as let's say house. Okay, right. Guys, please mute your microphones. Otherwise, there is a lot of disturbance which comes up during the training. Okay, just check your microphones once. Right, so you can say the properties of the house, the number of the house, the city of the house, the street. Right, so suppose these are the three properties of the house. Right, and in this, I create a new class known as test house. So if we create the object of the house class, I can set h dot number is some number, right? H dot street is some street. H dot city is some city. Similarly, I can create another object, multiple objects of this class, and I can define different values to each object. But the problem is, what if I have to create 50 objects? Then unnecessarily, I have to write 3 additional lines to initialize the object. And what if instead of 3 properties, there are 20 properties in this class? Okay, so if there are 20 properties, you cannot just, it's a very tedious process to write the code to unnecessarily initialize the object. So there are 2 steps involved over here. This step is the creation of object. And after creation, we initialize the object. All right. So constructor, what it does is it helps you to create and initialize the object in one line instead of multiple lines. By default in a class, there is a constructor like I can create public house. This is a constructor of the class. This is not a function. It's got no return type, void or int, and the name of the constructor is same as name of the class. Okay, if I print creating object, If I run this code, it will print creating object 3 times. Because this is the default constructor which is called when you create the object of the class. When I'm creating the object of the class 3 times, I'm calling this constructor. No matter how many times you create the object of the class, every time you create, 7 times I created, 7 times this is called. Okay, and you can now make a constructor known as, say, public house, which takes the house number, the street, and the city. Okay, and inside it I will write number equals to n, street equals to s, city equals to c. So what will happen is that because this is a constructor which takes in 3 parameters, I can create the house object like this now. And pass over the 3 parameters, house number, the street, and the city. All right. So what will happen is these 3 parameters will respectively go inside this constructor and the object would be initialized. So you create the object and initialize it in the same line. If I want to print x3 dot number, the house number, and if I run this, this will print 1111. So this is constructor. This is the only advantage of constructor, that instead of initializing the object in multiple lines, you can initialize the object in a single line. When you create the object, you initialize it at the same point. Okay, right, fine. So sometimes what happens is that when you declare constructor, these are your local variables of the function, right? You give the names same, name, street, city, and you write name equals to name, street equals to street, city equals to city, right? And sorry, number. When you run the code, it will actually not print anything. It prints null for the house number. This is because, you know, the name of the local variable is same as the name of the global variable. These two names are same. So it tries to equate the local to the local. You see, there is a yellow warning sign also out here. This says that this local variable is being assigned to itself only. We want this global number to be equated to the local number. So we use the keyword this dot number, this dot street, this dot city. This keyword means the global variable number is equal to the local variable number. Okay, wherever you put this, that means the global variable, the object's variable. All right. So if you run the code now, it's going to work. If you have any doubts in this constructor, then tell me. Okay, so this variable will actually point towards the global variable, number, street, and city. Okay, right. Any questions regarding interfaces, regarding constructors? So how constructors will be used practically, I will tell you with time. Okay. And how interfaces will be used practically, I just told you that you can have one browser and you can open the browser dynamically, okay, just by changing the name over here. Right. So, all right, fine. So the next class will be on Monday morning, Indian time, which is Sunday evening in US. All right. And anybody with any questions, then do let me know.
Ashish, do you have any WhatsApp group for this class?
After the 5-6 classes, I'll create it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ashish, what would be our next topics on Monday?
We'll see how to interact with the browsers and components on the web page.
Okay.
And where can I see this video or recorded
We'll be
video?
mailing you in every invite email. We send the mail. We'll be mailing.
Ashish, I didn't get the mail.
Yeah,
Na,
I'll check your email that why you are not getting it. I'll have to check.
Please add me also in mail.
Yeah.
from my-
Yeah. Okay then, guys. Right?
Thank you.
See you
Ashish,
Monday morning.
could you send this video, because this video will come with a Monday invite, right?
Yeah,
we
today
add
we'll send it.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Ashish,
Okay.
please add me into
Yeah.
the group also, no, that email link. I
Yes,
didn't
yes,
get
I'm
the
doing that. I'll just check it out why you are not getting it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ashish.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Ashish. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.